Welcome everybody once again to the Free State Black Business Chamber Entrepreneurs Learning Lab. Today we have a very hot show. We'll be sitting with our guest, which I will introduce when we come back. But please, thank you very much for tuning in. Please stay with us as we take you through a very exciting interview with the CEO of the FDC here on the Entrepreneurs Learning Lab. Our guest today is Thabo Lebelo, who's the newly appointed CEO of the Free State Development Corporation, or the FDC. Lebelo, welcome.
Thank you, Ndate. Thank you for having me.
First of all, what we would like to know is, who is Ndate Lebelo? Where are you from, and how come you made it here to the FDC?
No, thank you very much. It's a very interesting question, one that I don't think many people know. And my colleagues, if you are watching, I'm going to tell you a little secret that you probably didn't know about me. Free State. I was born in Senegal, and I schooled in Kwako.
Wow.
And when I finished my matric in 1989, being a child of a single mother, I was the top student in the Free State.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was number 13 in the country.
Wow.
In the then DET, Department of Education and Training, matric exams. And I was lucky enough to be funded by the then QDC, which was Corporate Development Corporation, to go and study as a CA.
Wow.
So I went and studied in the University of Natal. It took me a while to finish, but I ultimately completed in the year 2001. So it took a long time to study and do the articles, but finally qualifying in 2001. I've done quite a lot of interesting things in my life, some really interesting transactions. As a CA, you can do one of four things. You can become a financial accountant, in which case you specialize in international financial reporting standards, compiling financials and the like. You can be an auditor, you can be a tax specialist, or you can be what they call a financial management specialist. Okay. That's what I am. I'm a financial management specialist. Just to give you an idea of the type of transactions that I have done. At the IDC, we created a number of transactions. We've assisted a number of very, very high-profile people without, I hope they don't mind my saying it, but we've worked for Mvelapanda. We funded Mvelapanda. When they were acquiring 15% of Goldfield South African assets, I worked on a transaction.
Wow.
We created the empowerment transaction for Harmony Mine, a little vehicle called Simani. Made a lot of money. There's a whole lot of history on the website about it. Those are the two main things I did at the IDC. And then I went to Anglo American in corporate finance.
Okay.
There, I worked on a number of transactions. We restructured what is called Highfield Steel and Vanadium in Wheatbank. Sold there to Roman Abramovich Avras. But we created an important one for me. We created the current Exaro through the restructure of Kumba Resources. That is created, as you know, a very large black control conglomerate being Exaro. And then I went to Transnet when Anglo American immigrated from South Africa to now be domiciled in London. I decided, no, I don't want to go live anywhere else in the world. So I left and I joined Transnet in corporate finance, or what is called group financial planning. I did some work there. And then I left. I went and joined a company called Imperial Logistics, the Imperial Group at head office. Did some work there. 2010, I left and joined a small family business called Billion Group, which is headed by a gentleman called Sisan Gebulana. It's a property holding company, so we restructured that and created a group called Rebos's Property Fund, which we listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which is still trading. It's not doing very well, much as the entire sector, but I know the birth of that from the beginning up until we listed it and I left. And I went back to Transnet. And I went back to Transnet. We did some really fantastic deals. We created a number of private sector participation transactions where, using the land of Transnet, entrepreneurs would come, they put in their money, expertise, and they develop. And 2018, I resigned. And I went and pursued my own little company called Makwani Consulting. And unfortunately, 2018, as you know, the economy started going down, and we started seeing difficulties with the economic performance. We were downgraded and the like. And 2020, we had COVID. So that sort of put the nail in the coffin of what I was trying to do. And then this position had come up earlier in December. And I said, maybe it's time to go home. So I applied, and the rest is history. I'm here. Wow. I was appointed as a CEO of the FDC, and I'm up to the challenge.
Wow.
That's a very long introduction of who I am, but that's a lot of information that I've shared with you that not many people know. So the reason why I'm sharing it with you is so that people know that I'm here. And I'm here to play my part, and I work, and I just do. And I'm going to make sure that with the little team that I have here, that we're going to make the FDC what it should be, which is an economic enabler of this province. Wow. We're looking forward to that challenge.
Wow. Your rap sheet, as we'd call it in the street, it's quite awesome because it exemplifies the thing that we always speak about in the Free State, that we suffer from the brain drain. And the people who actually are in the know, that are from the Free State, do not actually come back and work in the Free State. And I must give you props for that. Because you would be one of many that would exemplify that this brain drain thing must stop, and people of the Free State must come back and work for the province. So thank you very much for that, and thank you very much to the stakeholders or the shareholder who actually made sure that you come here, and they appointed you per se. And one thing I would like to know is, through the years, the FDC has been a beacon of hope for a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly black entrepreneurs, SMMEs, What sort of vision do you have for that segment of the market, SMMEs?
Yeah, we are a creature of statute. And one of the sole reasons why we exist is precisely facilitation of SMMEs. Development of SMMEs, assisting them with setup, assisting them with investment promotion, assisting them with export promotion. And also financing them. So we are supposed to be a vehicle that also finances the SMMEs, because we know the difficulty for our people with credit history and the difficulty that they have going to the banks. And then we are almost like the lender of last resort. And also where they go into financial difficulties, for us to partner with them and see how we can resolve their problem. But also to do many other things as a board resolves, all centered around one thing: economic development, SMME development, and job creation. So, and I always say to my team, if you come to work and then you do certain things, when you get home and you say, I've moved the needle in promoting SMME activity, in promoting economic activity, and facilitating job creation. We were just discussing it, that we don't necessarily create jobs, but we facilitate job creation. If you can say, I have done something in that regard and I've moved the needle, you'd have done a job. Don't worry about not making money. As long as we are alleviating the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and joblessness, we would have done very well, even if we don't make a lot of money. So the FDC, what was done very well in the past was it was very well supported. It was very well funded. What we don't do very well in the Free State at the moment, which I'm highlighting to the powers that be, is that we have industrial parks, we've got some buildings, we've got things that we need to do on the landy side, we've got all the support programs that we have. We're doing very well on the non-financial side, but we're not making enough money to sustain ourselves. And because we are developmental in nature, we don't charge very high rentals in terms of our space. But also on the landy side, currently we don't have any money to lend it. We've got very little. What used to happen before, there was a lot of money that was poured into the FDC for it to be able to run its affairs and also be able to run a lending book, and also to sustain sort of some losses that you were experiencing on the rental side. But that has come to an end. So we have to think creatively about how we do it. And we understand that the money is not there. We are coming up with a strategy with the team to say, how do we afford ourselves? How do we work with the little that we have? And one of the key strategies is what I've always done. How do we have meaningful partnership with private sector? Such that the little that we have, we leverage We give them space for them to come. They've got the money, they've got the expertise. I don't know how to develop shopping centers. I don't know how to develop many other things, but we've got the land, we've got the assets. Now, in that symbiotic relationship with the private sector, we say, let me put myself in the shoes of an entrepreneur who's looking to put up something, maybe student accommodation for argument's sake. Well, it's not going to work if I give him a 5-year lease, because no bank is going to fund him in a 5-year lease. Give the guy a 20-year lease so that he's able to borrow money. It's his risk, right? And he knows how to develop. My job is just to give him a right of access. And then, by so doing, I'm facilitating economic activity and job creation. So what I'm saying to the team is, let's play at our level. What do we have? Let's put everything that we again get our hands on to use. We have assets that are owned by various levels of government. We've got properties. If you go, there's a garage there, Shell, near Mahunga. Why is that garage not working? You know, it's almost a criminal.
I mean, it's on the N8.
It's on the N8. So we know that it's not owned by us. There is an entrepreneur with a bit of challenges who's funded by the FDC. How do we then come together with that entrepreneur and the owner of the property, which happens to be a national government entity, and say, well, we want that garage to be used. I don't care who owns it. I want to see it operating because it facilitates economic activity within the province. So we'll be looking at everything instead of just what we have in facilitating this symbiotic relationship between private sector and all levels of government, because if it's in this province, we want to put it to use.
Wow.
If it's a shopping center or a shop or something in a township somewhere, if it's owned by a municipality, they can't use it. I want to be able to intervene and use it.
Wow.
So we're looking very broadly, not just what we own. So those are the strategies. I know I gave you a very long answer to your question, but those are the things that we are looking at. We try by all means to get assistance from the government. We know it's limited, but we're going to do everything that we can to raise liquidity, but also to facilitate in everything that we can, as long as it's in the board of the province, to facilitate the 3 things that we talked about: SME development, job creation, and economic activity.
So the prime word here is collaboration, which is the one thing that in the Free State it's very much sought after. Even from the space where we come from as a business chamber, we always aspire to get into these collaborations. But we find that, particularly as a black business chamber, there's often barriers to that collaboration. How do you, as the FDC, plan or think you can mitigate certain barriers in terms of collaboration, where you find that private sector does not really have much confidence in government or government entities?
No, thank you very much. And there's a number of things that we're doing. This office, it might not have a lot of money, but it's got a lot of power. If I pick up a call, any company within the province will answer my call. That's power. Now, if I use the power to harness collaboration, so there's dialogue. And I'll give you an example. We have, in the industrial park in Botshabelo, we've got a client that manufactures plastics. Let me not mention the name. But we've got the one that produces chicken products. You will know who they are. But the one that produces chicken products is importing plastic from China or from another company in Denmark. Why? Because the one around the corner can't compete. They can't compete for 2 reasons. Electricity is too high, and the cost of raw material of plastic is too high from the plastic manufacturer up the road in the bar. Now, through my office, I'm saying, look, I can see these problems. Pick up a call and say, hold on, you, a chicken producer, let's have a chat. What are your challenges in terms of procuring from the guy up the road from you? So let's explore what the challenges are. And through my office, I'm beginning to facilitate the dialogue between these 3 parties: plastic manufacturer, Santlek, and these 2 people who should be trading with each other.
Wow.
And I think we're going to turn that thing around. The important thing for me, we do this import replacement. That there's no more importation of plastic that can be made here through facilitation of very simple things. If this guy here has a bigger order, because he now can supply the chicken supply, it means that he can produce more, the cost can come down. Yes.
No, thank you very much. Let's just go for an ad break. This is a very interesting session that we're having with the CEO. Please, guys, don't go anywhere. We're going to get more when we come back. To the Free State Black Business Chamber Entrepreneurs Learning Lab. We're still sitting with the FDC CEO, Thabo Lebelo, talking about the development of the Free State province through this awesome entity called the Free State Development Corporation. Lebelo, we touched a bit on the vision that you have for the FDC and what the FDC should do and its role that it could play in terms of the space of SME development and development per se. And, you know, before we went to the ad break, you touched on something that often the MEC is always touching on, the HOD of DESTEA. That's the value chain approach. Do you think, let me ask it rather this way, what sort of economic drivers, industry-wise, have you identified as the FDC CEO that you would be focusing on for a particular term in order to then get things moving?
No, thank you very much. And I think you touched on the key one, which is this value chain transformation. Let's just speak very simply what it is. All it means is, you know, when a department places out an order and then they're looking for, say, toilet paper, and someone applies for a tender and then they go and buy it from somebody else who already has it. Now, we are saying that is a problem because you're not aiding anything. And we understand that the departments have to go out, per legislation, to go out and tender and buy from the lowest bidder. Normally what then happens, the producer of those products are just sitting because they know they're going to get the work anyway. They don't have to tender. But we say, we've got the factories. I was saying to the team, the toilet paper in here, where does it come from? We don't know where it comes from. There's somebody who's got the facility management of this building. They buy toilet paper from somewhere else. But we've got people who are manufacturing toilet paper in our factories, who are paying us rent, who've been funded by the STEA for the machines. Why are we not procuring from them? So we are saying, let's now go back and say, let's put our people in the manufacturing space so they manufacture the goods for the top 10 products that the province consumes. That way, we are beginning to create black industrialists through going back through the value chains and say, well, you know, if we're going to be buying bricks for the Department of Human Settlements, let black people manufacture those bricks. Now, there's governance processes that needs to be followed because you can't circumvent procurement rules. What that thing does is going to enable the harnessing of the government spending power to go to the right into black hands. 80% of the government spending, it even leaves the province. It goes to Gauteng and other towns, and it doesn't go into women, young people, and black. And I'm very passionate about women-owned businesses, the youth, and the African majority. Now, what this is going to do is going to assist a lot. And the challenge that we're having, and this I've highlighted with the MECs, is look, as and when you go out and you do these tenders, I need money to be able to fund these people to execute the work, the orders that we're giving them. So that's one big chunk project that we're going to be able to. And my role in that, I see myself as very central. As someone who owns the factories, people must go in there and manufacture these products, and I must be able to fund them. So I need to be facilitated with money to partner with people so that they can implement this value chain transformation initiative that we have. But more importantly also is know all the key stakeholders in terms of business in the province and say and understand to them what are your plans in terms of facilitating SMEs. You know, I've been to a lot of them. There's a company called Renergen in Virginia.
Yeah.
I went there and I spoke to the CEO. There's a lot that we can do. But the question I asked of him was, look, you are saying that you're going to give some of this helium to vets. Why vets when this thing is in the Free State? Why not yours? And they said, well, quite honestly, because I'm an alumni of vets. And I don't know anyone at yours. And I said, you just met me now. I want some of the helium to go there. Because with that supply of helium and some research, who knows? We could end up be doing things even more fantastic than vets here in the Free State. So the point I'm making with that is, my guys here will said, no more sitting in the office. Have a portfolio of people that you're targeting. 5, you go and understand all there is to know about their business and their value chain and what they do. And where can we plug our people in those value chains? Don't interfere with their businesses. Let's understand where the gaps are that can be closed by SMEs. Why? Because they've told us, we don't know black people. We don't know. They say they don't know.
So this is basically, sorry to interject, so this is basically transformation of the economy within opportunities within the value chain. So targeting BE from that end rather than saying, look, 51% of your company, I'm going to be majority controlling interest and this is how much I'm bringing and bye-bye, Mr. Fontaner. You're actually saying, Mr. Fontaner, this is the value chain that you're participating within. We'd like to understand it and then be able to take advantage of opportunities within it.
And in fact, collaboration as we are talking. If I come to Mr. Fontaner with a deal and I'm saying, here's a value chain. Let me give you an example with Renegen. They produce compressed natural gas, which can be used to power diesel engines. Right? Now, most of where they are going, I didn't know before I went there. Their strategy is very simple. They're just going to sell compressed natural gas to transport logistics companies. They won't produce electricity on others. Now I know. Now I'm saying, okay, how far along have you gone with getting black people into the space that you're in? And he says, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with, say we get the kids from GE. Maybe we speak to Transnet. We say, we have locomotives. He's absolutely very happy for someone to go and say to Transnet, look, I can lower your cost of fuel, but I will fund the kits for on your GE locomotives so that they use both diesel and but your consumption will go down by 25% in terms of cost. And he says, if they bring a deal like that, I'll give them the gas. Now you see, when you go there with a deal like that, it's a collaboration, it's a win-win. You're not relying on the old BE that empowered the few. And by the way, that has failed. And I'm not a proponent of that because I've seen it fail. And I'll explain to you why I say it's failed. We had this triple B, we had BE that was done where, you know who made the money? The banks that made the money. Because you get given an opportunity, you don't have the money to execute it. The banks come with funding and they take the rump of the benefit. I mean, I'm sitting with people that I know who are sitting there because they never had equity to invest in the business. The bank invested for them. And in certain instances, I'll tell you how ridiculous it is. In one deal where black people sourced a deal, they're 51% shareholder in this deal. But because they didn't have the money, the equity component of it, the bank, only 300 million rand deal, they were lent 30 million, which they didn't have. But for that 30 million, they're paying close to 20% interest. And that 30 million take 2/3 of the benefits of the dividends. So you can see it's almost like fronting for the banks. But the thing is, it doesn't work. They've been working on this since 2012. They're still poor until today. The money is trapping. If you declare dividend, 2/3 they go to the bank.
Sure.
So I'm saying, my view going forward, which I've always done, and I know it works, participating by black people at asset level, where at cash generating level. Where are the gaps? I'm partnering with you. Here's my bit. Here's a bit. We grow the cake and I take my share immediately. At shareholder level, it doesn't work.
So it's cold-face intervention, basically where the business happens.
Where the business happens.
One thing that before we close, Thabo Lebelo, I would like to touch on is we had an engagement with the CEO of the SEZ, and following up on the trip by Dr. Hossein Sogamokgopa that came and checked infrastructure project in the Free State. Where do you think opportunities lie there for entrepreneurs, especially with those two programs?
You know, it's a very good initiative of that of the SEZ, and why it hasn't taken enough traction, it's teetering along, is there are some governance issues that need to be sorted out. And I explained to you why those governance issues are. All the other SEZ, all other 9 SEZs, what happened was you had this developmental institution that said, well, we've got these assets, this piece of land can be in SEZ, ring fence it, and then from there you apply for operator license and operate it. But also they're very well funded by their provinces. With us, we did it other way around, where we say we appointed somebody to be an operator. So what happens is now there's this governance issues. No, a separate entity was not set up to hold the assets of that entity. So what is happening now? Those things have been sorted out, but it's between Joburg and I think location-wise it's perfect. And I'm very optimistic that it's going to, with the support that MEMPO is getting from the STEA and DTIC and National Treasury, we're going to see that park develop into something marvelous, creating opportunities for a lot of young people With the DTSA is committed for phase 2 of infrastructure to roll out basic services into that park. And once that happens, we'll see that there'll be a lot more interest of people going in there because the rentals are very cheap. 300 square meter for a piece of land. You can't get better than that anywhere in the country. So cost-wise, I think it will be very cheap. Also, it's equidistant between Joburg and Durban. That alone is a competitive advantage. You're not far from the markets. So I think a lot of women and youth, once, and I'm hoping this happens very quickly, it will be a very good economic enabler for young people to go and operate from there.
CEO, I wish we had a lot more time, but like I said in the opener, this is just an icebreaker between the Free State Black Business Chamber, the FDC, particularly myself and your office, to actually try and collaborate and develop projects and programs that can assist the broader majority of the Free State Black business people. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much to our audience for giving us your time as well. And please stay tuned into the Free State Online TV channel as well as the Free State Black Business Chamber Facebook page to follow our Entrepreneurs Learning Lab programs. And if you have any questions, please put them down in the comment section or in the inbox. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thank you.